Hello, everyone, and welcome to this fourth night of the Festival of Europe. My name is Ben Green, and I have the great pleasure of welcoming you to this festival. We're halfway through. However, even after tonight, we still have 4 more travel-packed nights left to go. Additionally, even after when the festival concludes, you can still join us as we keep on traveling every Monday night on Monday Night Travel. You can just sign up at ricksteves.com. And now it is time to welcome and introduce our tour guide, our travel expert, Rick Steves. Over to you, Rick.
Well, thank you very much, Ben, and it's great to be connecting again. And it just occurred to me, as I was enjoying Ben's introduction, we do this every night during this festival, and it just never gets old. I'm so thankful to have found my niche, and I've got 100 great colleagues, great fellow travelers here at Rick Steves Europe, and we all enjoy our work. We are mission driven. We're all about just equipping and inspiring Americans to venture beyond Orlando. And today we're going to venture to Spain and Portugal. It's so exciting to be joined by a couple of our guides who are getting up in the middle of the night to join us from Madrid and from Lisbon. You know, when somebody trusts us with their vacation, it is a huge responsibility on our part, whether they're going to be using one of our guidebooks and doing the tour on their own, or whether they're going to be joining one of our buses and let us do the driving and have our guides show them around. It's a big responsibility. We take that seriously, and we're so thankful for your trust, and we are so committed to bringing you the best possible travels. I want to stress we're selling tours, but we're also encouraging people to get the guidebook and go on their own. You can do any of these things that we're talking about this evening on your own, as your own guide, or you can join our bus and join our happy band of travelers with our local guides. Hey, we're going to head off to Spain, and after half an hour, we're going to go to Portugal, and I'm going to be your tour guide for the evening, and I'll be joined by a couple of other tour guides momentarily. As Ben mentioned, we're halfway through our this year's tour festival. Tomorrow is France, the next day is Germany, Central Europe, and then next Monday, we're having a virtual party right here in my house, and you are virtually welcome to come by. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is our guides. We have 150 guides from all over Europe, and we love to take our groups around Europe on our tours. We have 40 different itineraries. This is called our spaghetti map, and you can see we're going to Iberia. That's the peninsula in the southwest there, where you find Spain and Portugal, and we're going to talk about those tours in the next hour. We're going to talk about our Best of Barcelona and Madrid tour, our Basque Country tour, Best of Andalusia in 10 days, the Best of Spain in 14 days, My Way Spain in 11 days. That's an unguided version of the tour where you get the bus and the hotels and an escort that comes from our office that has office hours in the morning so you know what to do, and you get a copy of the guidebook so you can be your own tour, taking advantage of the efficiency of the big bus and so on. And then we're going to go to the Best of Portugal in 12 days. I love to think of these itineraries. Let me just talk you through this one because this is our main Spanish tour. We start in Barcelona. We take the bullet train, the wonderful AVE train, across Spain to Madrid, side trip up to Segovia, down to Toledo, and then across La Mancha to Granada, to Ronda in Andalusia, into the mountains there, to Arcos de la Frontera, and we finish with the finale in Sevilla. Man, what a great itinerary that is. If you are dreaming about Spain, a lot of your dreams of Spain, I think, are set in Andalusia. Many people love to just focus on Andalusia. Here's how we would spend 10 days with you in Andalusia, starting in Cordoba, and then going over through the mountains and the little towns to Granada, and then cutting back to Ronda and finishing in Sevilla. For the people that have a short amount of time and want to do the 2 major cities in Spain, I think this would be the bet. You got 3 days in Barcelona and 4 days in Madrid with a side trip to the historic capital, Toledo. This is the My Way itinerary, pretty close to the Best of Spain itinerary, but this is the one you do on your own. And when you want to go on your own, you want to get the guidebook and expect yourself to travel smart. And these are the resources that we produce so you can do our tours without us. That's the purpose of these guidebooks. So you have all the workings of the tours and you can do it on your own. And of course, when you take the tour, you get a copy of this guidebook also because your guide is going to work with this book so you can use your time smartly. Hey, we are joined right now by my good friend and fellow tour guide, Federico Garcia Barroso, and Federico is, let's see, Fede, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hola, amigos de España. Welcome to Spain.
It's so
Welcome.
nice to have you with us, Federico. You have some sort of radiance, and a lot of times you're guiding and I'm updating the guidebook, and I see you here or there, and you've always got a merry group of Americans, and you're walking them through the town and pointing out everything and singing, and I always think this must give you energy. How can you do this month after month, year after year, and clearly be as exuberant and positive and not burned out as you are?
Thank you, Rick. Thank you very, very much. And what can I say? I basically enjoy what I do. When I was a child, I was a very, very, very shy boy, something quite unthinkable nowadays. And this profession gave me the best. I'm so happy. Look at the age that I have, and I'm still motivated. I am a person with accumulated youth.
Accumulated youth. That is a great concept, accumulated youth. And I know that you are have a lot of friends who are guides, and you're sort of the Elton John, I think, in Madrid. You're always dressed in flamboyant. You invite your friends over, and you just have a wild gathering, and you're celebrating culture. You're celebrating teaching. You know, travel is peace and travel is love, and you get together, and it's good for your soul, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's go. Let's travel through Spain with our travelers here today, and it's just great. You can see I always have a good time when I get to see you in Spain. You know, Federico, when we think of Spain, I think of layers of history. Here in Segovia, you have a Roman aqueduct built by Romans 2,000 years ago to bring water into the city so they didn't have to carry it there. And then for centuries, Spain was ruled by a Moorish society that came in from Africa. It was a Muslim society, and it was a highly sophisticated society. And then for centuries, all Europe ganged up and tried to push the Muslim Moors back into Africa. In fact, the center of Spain is called Castile, right? Can you explain what Castile and the Reconquista and this photograph have to do with each other?
Exactly, my friends. Castile is the land of castles, the land of Castilian language. And that is the central plateau in Spain, in the whole Iberian Peninsula. When we see in the times of Conquista and Reconquista, those fortifications with the round towers are Christian castles, and those ones with the square towers were Moorish castles.
Well, that's something that I can take to my sightseeing, and that's what I really like about running around with a tour guide in Spain or any country. I can look at a glance. I didn't realize that until just now. Round turrets, it's a Christian castle. Square ones, like we'll see later at the Alhambra, would be a Moorish castle. Spain had the biggest army in Europe for a long time. It was the superpower of Europe. That's why there's so many great paintings in the Prado, isn't it? I mean, there was a time when the Netherlands were called the Spanish Netherlands, and a lot of the greatest paintings from the Netherlands, where are they?
Exactly, at the Prado Art Gallery. And those were the days in which the Spanish Empire was leading the world. And that's why we can actually enjoy nowadays that spectacular historical and artistic heritage at the Escorial Fortress or the Royal Palace in Madrid or the Prado Museum.
A lot of remnants of greatness, a rich religious tradition in Spain, and you're likely to see a lot of ceremonies and processions and parades and festivals that are relating to the Roman Catholicism of Spain. And another religion, arguably a more enthusiastically supported religion these days, is what when we look at this crowd?
Well, that is a kind of alternative religion, but it's actually quite popular. Soccer. People just love soccer, and I can see there those guys in red color. They are celebrating again another victory of the Spanish team, La Selección Española, La Roja. The red
I
one.
heard there's several daily newspapers in Spain. There's several of them, and they're all soccer newspapers. Everybody just wants to know the news of the soccer, what we call football in Spain. This was what I found when I came to Seville last time I came to research. The whole city was inundated by soccer fans, and we roll with the punches when we're traveling. We never know what kind of festivals around the corner, and it's all part of the fun of being there. This photograph here reminds me to remind our travelers that when you go to Spain or anywhere in Europe and you want to see the major sites, in many cases you have to book them long in advance. And at Rick Steves Europe, we've got our tickets for these sites, the Alhambra and the Prado and the Royal Palace and so on. This is booked long in advance, so you get in and you don't have a long wait. This is really important. Barcelona is the capital of a region in Spain called Catalunya. And Catalunya is one of these places that they call a nation without a state. It is a nation. They've got their own pride, their heritage, their language, but they do not have their independence. They're part of Spain. And when you're with Federico, he understands the complexity. When you're with any good guide, they can explain to you the reality of Catalunya, where they don't say Viva España, they say, what do they say, Federico?
Visca Catalunya.
Basque Catalunya, and they now, with Franco in the history books now, the Catalonians are free to wave their flag, and they're free to teach their children how to speak their home language, and it's quite a fascinating dynamic. You'll learn about that when you go to Barcelona. Here we have the famous Ramblas, beautiful boulevards in Spain, in Catalunya, and a lot of local Catalan spirit. There's a band that would be playing as the people do their beloved sardana dance. You can go into the markets and have fun trying the local specialties with the local merchants. And of course, in Barcelona, we have wonderful artists. We have Miro, we have Picasso, and most popular, I would say, for the sightseeing would be the Art Nouveau artists and the architect Antoni Gaudi. Federico, tell us about this site, which is, I think, one of the most beautiful churches in all of Europe, and it's not even finished yet.
Yeah, not yet. This is a Sagrada Familia, the Sacred Family. It is a Gaudi is just a man out of his time, out of his world, and you may like it, you may not, but we have to admit that he was absolutely unique, absolutely unique. The Sagrada Familia is going to be finished supposedly in about 10 years. But it's something absolutely breathtaking. People got absolutely fascinated when they arrive to Barcelona and they see and enjoy and visit Sagrada Familia.
And it's tough to get in. You got to get a reservation long in advance. We are sure to get in with a good guide so you understand the organic nature of this Art Nouveau in architecture. And I understand the goal is to get it finished in the next few years on the 100th anniversary of Gaudi's death, right? And it is just a beautiful, beautiful experience. And then from Barcelona, you ride the fast train. In the old days, we used to fly, but it really is more convenient to take the AVE train across Spain. And you must be proud of your train system in Spain, Federico.
I really have to say, yes, Rick, thank you. Thank you for mentioning this, because I've been guiding people all over Europe for many years. And I have to say that right now, Spain is offering the most modern fleet of high-speed trains in Europe. That's a fact.
You know, that's not an overstatement. You wouldn't think Spain for high-speed trains necessarily. In fact, I remember when there were no freeways and no fast trains in Spain. But now you zip, and it makes your whole life different, because in two hours or so you can get from Barcelona to Madrid. And I just was in Madrid. This is the window from my hotel, and this is one of the hotels that I love to use with our groups. In fact, I see you there with your when you're doing a Rick Steves Europe tour. And what a great example of being well located. I think across our tours, we do whatever we can to be centrally located. This is Hotel de Europa, that's the name.
Yeah.
And we have Puerta del Sol. I remember when this was a traffic jam, Federico, and now it's a people zone. And a couple blocks away, we've got the Plaza Mayor, and the Plaza Mayor is where people gather. Spaniards love to be out and do the paseo. They set the tone on getting out and just celebrating life in the cool of the early evening hours. A 10-minute walk from there, we find ourselves at the Royal Palace. And this is a palace that rivals Versailles and Schönbrunn, because there were three great political capitals during the heyday of the divine monarchs. You have Madrid, you have Paris, and you have Vienna. And when we go to that palace, we get a tour, we have a reservation for the interior. It is a highlight of any visit. And then Federico, just across the way, last time I was with you, it was not open. Tell us about the big news for sightseeing in Madrid.
Yes, this is really, it's a wonderful opportunity now. I mean, we were waiting for this for ages, and finally, this building, which is a new, as you can see, a new museum, is absolutely great. And there you find the gallery of the royal collections, those masterpieces that were not shown before because there was not enough space actually for those collections. And now you enter and you make a time journey through the history of Spain from the times of Isabella and Ferdinand in those 1400s till the days of Franco and the current monarchy nowadays in Spain.
Oh, Federico, I just love to think that our groups are in the care of a guide like you. In a 20-minute walk on the other direction from there, we get to the Prado. And I mentioned that the king was the most powerful guy in Europe in his day, back when the Netherlands were called the Spanish Netherlands and Madrid ruled a vast empire. And consequently, you've got one of the very best collections of paintings anywhere in Europe. Not necessarily in the biggest and most powerful city today, but in what was the biggest and most powerful city 300 or 400 years ago. And we see masterpieces by Velázquez, by Goya, by Hieronymus Bosch. And these paintings are great regardless, but they're even more great when you have a local Spanish guide who loves art to be there with you and explain to you the meaning of this powerful painting here. What's happening here? I just very briefly, this Goya painting is one of the most powerful paintings, I think, in all of Europe.
Goya, Rick, Goya is a wild animal. It's just a volcano in eruption, brutal creativity, 100%. And this is the shootings of the war of Napoleon, where he was on the way to Portugal, and he actually stopped in Spain, and this is what happened. We have to say, amigas y amigos, that Napoleon left us here his brother, Jose, who was a great king in Spain just for a short time. But in this case, obviously, these are the consequences of the disasters of the war of Napoleon.
And here we see local patriots being mown down with all the compassion of a lawnmower as they stand in front of the French firing squads. And the great Spanish painter Goya captures that dramatically. Also, a very dramatic and important painting is our collage, really, is Guernica by Picasso. And you'll be able to see that too when you're with our groups. Boy, oh boy, a highlight for me is going into the tapas bars and having a mobile feast. And it's so much fun, I think, to choose a good neighborhood. For instance, when I was in this last spring, I was in Madrid doing research for our latest edition of our Spain book that everybody gets on the tour. And I really made a big deal about Troika, Federico. It's a good example of a neighborhood that's kind of happening, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is actually my neighborhood. I came to this neighborhood, Rick, when I was 7 years old, okay? And I've been a witness of this wonderful social evolution of Madrid and Spain. Chueca is the best example, my friends, because when I'm happy to be a Spaniard and to say that in my country, when we preserve the rights of social minorities, consequently, the rights of all our majority is obviously preserved. And it's just a matter of common sense. And that is actually Chueca.
This is a beautiful thing. And I can remember when this was the wrong side of the street, the Gran Via. You crossed the Gran Via and it was a no-go zone. It was scary. And now it's just thriving and it's cozy. And you step into this wonderful vermouth bar and you get a beautiful experience. And I just have learned that life is too short to eat mediocre ham when you're in Spain. When you're in Spain, you need the help of your guide to spend a little extra money for something called jamón ibérico, right?
Yeah, with all my respect to Italian prosciutto and French jambon, jamón ibérico is undoubtedly the best ham ever.
You know, excuse me just a minute. I'm just going to have a private moment with my ham here. It's to have that melting in your mouth. Oh, Federico, you know what? I bet you want what I'm having.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, well, we're going to eat well when we're in Spain, and we're going to go to bars where they really know how to share the local cuisine with gusto. I just love eating in Spain, and with the help of your guide, you'll know where the beautiful gourmet tapas bars are. That's what Federico helps me when I'm in town, finding out just the right places to go that are not tourist traps, but very popular with the locals. 1 hour south of Madrid, we have the city of Toledo, the historic, artistic, and spiritual capital of Spain. It was the political capital until the city was not big enough to handle a big government for a big modern country. So they moved the government 1 hour north to Madrid, and Toledo is kind of mothballed in a certain way. It's built within the tight bend of the river, which provided a natural fortification in the day. And today, when we go to Toledo, we have an amazing experience. And of course, this is the home of the wonderful painter El Greco. You'll see his finest to start there. Before heading across La Mancha, there's big, big bulls in the countryside, aren't they? You can see me, Federico, climbing up there. Do you see? I don't think we should promote this, but you can see me riding on the back of the bull there.
Yeah, I can see you. Yeah. How do you do that?
That was really fun. We were filming. I was filming the open of a show there, I believe. But when I think of driving across La Mancha, I just love it. You got the windmills, you got the castles, and then you get down to Andalusia. And the greatest city of Andalusia is Sevilla. And I love this painting. I just shot this a couple months ago, Fedi. And when you look at this and you think about Sevilla, what does this painting tell you about the importance of Sevilla 500 years ago?
Well, I mean, Sevilla was one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the known world in those days. And that was the departure point and the arrival point for all those Spanish galleons sailing to the Americas, to the New World, and to find that gold and come back. Sevilla was absolutely one of the biggest metropolis in Europe in those days.
So Columbus would have sailed right from there. And this is, you go down the river and you're out in the Atlantic and you're on your way. And with our groups, we typically in Sevilla stay at Hotel Amadeus, and I stay there when I'm in town. Location, location, location. We are right in the old center. There's no traffic noise because cars can't get to this hotel. Wonderful rooftop place for your beautiful breakfast. And then you are out in the town. And when you're out and about in Sevilla, you're very likely to bump into some kind of procession, some kind of a festival. And we don't plan our trips around various religious festivals. But if we are in town during Holy Week, or if we are in town during a soccer game, or if we are in town on a national holiday, we will be there. Your guide will know how to position ourselves, and we will enjoy it. We'll be in the front row. And even if there's not a festival going on, you may get a sense of the joyful embrace of life that you find in Andalusia. What's going on here, Federico?
All those local people, they are actually quite devoted people. They are associated in different, we could say, religious guilds. You see, they really enjoy to participate in all these religious processions in Easter week. And you see, that is just one of those rehearsals.
So they're practicing to carry the float. So when you see a float like this, underneath that is a squad of 20 men with their heads wrapped, carrying this in careful coordination as they sway and shuffle for hours through the streets. And to see them practicing, you gain an appreciation for the rich culture. And then your guide will organize for you a beautiful flamenco show. And it's designed for tourists who don't want to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning and who just want an hour and to see the greatest hits of flamenco. And I absolutely love this. I think I love this photograph because of the motion and the passion, and also how frightened the little tiny girl is there with the little binky in her mouth. Imagine how intense this dance would be for a little child in the front row. But we're going to feel the soul of flamenco. What is the word for soul there's in Sevilla?
Duende.
Duende. What does that mean exactly?
Duende is just magic. Whenever, I mean, when you just listen to those musicians, when you watch those singers, all of them together, you can feel it. There is a moment, there is suddenly, in a very unexpected way, magic shows up, and then you say, Duende is here.
Duende. So this woman's got duende. And when you are 10 meters away from her as she's dancing and the castanets are clapping and the machine gun heels are riveted onto the floor, oh, baby, there is duende sloshing all over that place, whether you're a tourist or a Spaniard. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. I just love being in Spain from an eating point of view. And I love to go into the little bars and to order what the locals are ordering with the help of our guide. And this is a beautiful thing about our tour, is that we check out the food cuisine or the food culture as well. A little ways away is Granada, and Granada is important because it's the home of the last palace of the Moors. When you ask a European what happened in 1492, they don't think about Columbus sailing the ocean blue. That was the year the Christian forces finally kicked the Muslim forces out of Spain and back into Africa, and this was the fort that they evacuated as they made their last stand. The Alhambra, and this is the Arabic kind of quarter across the ravine from the Alhambra. This is the view from the Alhambra. And just up the hill, we've got a gypsy community called Sacromonte. And we can venture into there if we want more flamenco. And this is a Moorish fortress. And hey, there's what you said, Fedi. This is square towers instead of round towers, eh?
Yeah, exactly. The Alhambra Palace is one of those places. It is really, it's one of the most beautiful things that I know in Europe. It's not only exclusively about that spectacular architecture, the Moorish legacy in Spain. It's also about the geographical enclave where it is located. It's just magic.
It is just so sumptuous. I try not to overuse the word exquisite and sumptuous, but when I'm writing about the Moors, look at this beautiful architecture, and it's from 600, 700 years ago. And I was just walking through the neighborhood, you know, in the twilight hour, and I saw this couple just enjoying a special moment with a view of the Alhambra. And then I dropped into one of the Carmens, and these are romantic old restaurants in old villas that have a view of the Alhambra at sunset. And this is exactly where we take our groups for dinner. And it must be so much fun, Federico, for you to take your groups for a meal like this. Talk about a lifelong memory.
It's just a wonderful experience. I mean, it's a privilege to go there to enjoy Andalusian cuisine, which is really delicious. And in that location, facing the Alhambra Palace, with that wonderful weather, also very important to consider. It's one of the most beautiful moments in the tour, absolutely.
Nearby is the city of Cordoba. It has an old Roman era bridge that goes right into the old heart of town, and the biggest part of the old center is taken up by a massive mosque. And when the Christians came in and took over the Muslim society, they didn't tear down the mosque. They kept the mosque, but they planted a big church right in the middle of it. And Cordoba is an amazing place in this part of Spain for its flowers and for its beautiful courtyards. And when I'm there, it seems like when I'm there, there's usually that festival where the patios are open, and everybody is so happy for you to come in and check out their patios. And any time of year, they leave their gate open so you can marvel at the equivalent of a backyard in Cordoba. Lots of beautiful festivals going on as you travel in Andalusia. And in the mountains of Andalusia, we have a romantic road called the Route of the Pueblos Blancos, the route of the whitewashed hill towns. And this, I believe this is called Zahara. Is that right? Zahara?
Yes, Zahara, yes.
And it is a beautiful whitewashed town with a castle on top. And there are a number of these. And we stay in a town called Ronda. And I was just staying in the same hotel that most of our groups stay when they're in Ronda. And I had a beautiful view out my window. And I'll never forget waking up in the morning and marveling at that bridge that they built to cover the gap between the two cliffs. And you've got one side of the town and the other side of the town now connected. And this is a famous town for the bullfight. I believe they credit Ronda as being the birthplace of modern bullfighting. And you get a tour of the arena and the bull museum if you like. And if you're so inclined, you can go into one of the bull bars anywhere in the cities of Spain, and you'll find bullfights on the TV and trophies on the wall and gory pictures of matadors that had a very bad day lining the wall, and old guys that really dig bullfighting that you can hang out with and have a beer if you like. We do not go to the Costa del Sol on our trips. It's very touristy. For beaches, we go to the south coast of Portugal. But I just want to be straight with you. If you're looking for some time on the beach, on the Costa del Sol, it's not, our tours are too busy sightseeing with the greatest cultural sites that you're seeing, that we just don't have time for that. This is one of our tours that I bumped into in the last year or so. And when I see faces, happy faces like that, surrounding the guide, I just feel like this is a tour I'm proud to have my name on. And you know the feeling, Federico, when your group is really digging Spain thanks to your hard work. So this is a quick review of what we've got. We talked about the best of Spain, starting in Barcelona, taking the bullet train over to Madrid. And the numbers are how many nights you stay. So we try to minimize the one-night stands. 3 nights in Madrid, 1 night in beautiful Toledo, across La Mancha country down to Granada, Ronda, Arcos, and Sevilla for the grand finale. We mentioned the Best of Andalusia tour. That's all in the south of Spain, the region called Andalusia. For the greatest urban hits of Iberia, I think you could say 8 days in Barcelona and Madrid. That is a beautiful vacation. And if you want to do my way, it's a lot less expensive, less regimented, and you just become your own guide, and you get to use our bus and our hotels, and you get the guidebook, and it comes with a guide that meets you every morning, that makes sure the tour goes smoothly and everything. But this guide is just there to help you. He or she has office hours in the morning, and you do your sightseeing all day. Hey, there's another tour that I want to be sure we talk about, and it's Basque Country. And Basque Country, like Catalan, is one of those nations without a state. A long time ago, when they drew the border between France and Spain, they said, okay, French people here, Spanish people there. And the Basque people go, but excuse me, what about us? We speak Basque, we're not French, and we're not Spanish. And the leaders said, just learn to speak French and you learn to speak Spanish. Well, it doesn't work quite that way. And the Basque people are proud, they're resilient, They have fought. You could call them freedom fighters or you could call them terrorists, but they've had a lot of fight to maintain their independence and survive as a nation. Now there's peace. They have abandoned the violent kind of protest. And because of the EU, I would say, the European Union supports the well-being of the ethnic regions, even if they don't have a border and a formal state and independence. Consequently, more people are speaking Basque, more people are speaking Catalan, more people are speaking Irish than they were a couple of generations ago. And that's good news. On this tour, we have 9 days to cover Basque Country in France and in Spain. San Sebastian is my favorite town in the region. It's famous for its beach and it's famous for its gourmet tapas. Remember, people are very proud here. When you go to an ATM machine, it will have a little reminder, we are not in Spain. This is Basque Country, and the first language on the language chart there for the ATM is going to be Basque. The second language might be Catalan, and then you'll have Castile and the other languages. When you go to Basque Country, you're going to have some incredible tapas. I just can't get enough of that. You're going to go to Bilbao with the wonderful modern art museum, the Guggenheim Gallery, and that's a lot of fun. This is a region where the Camino de Santiago passes through, so there's a lot of pilgrims hiking through, stopping in Pamplona. And Pamplona is a place that is famous and filled with energy all year long, but it's got a particular lot of energy when they have the running of the bulls. And it's quite an experience to be there during that time, I'll tell you. And it's a great tour to check out if you've done Spain or done Portugal and you want something a little special. I want to remind you, on any of our tours, you have all the group sightseeing is included. You have small groups, 24 to 28 people instead of 50 people on a 50-seat bus. You get 2 seats per person on a Rick Steves tour. You get a wonderful Rick Steves guide like Federico, and you get local guides. Even if Federico could do the tour just fine in Seville, we like to hire a local guide so we get an extra voice and another example to have a friend who's a guide in that country. Centrally located characteristic hotels, not fancy hotels, simple one-off hotels, not part of a big international chain. All your breakfasts, half your dinners, all the tips for the guides and drivers. That's what is the design of a Rick Steves tour. I want to remind you, next Monday, we're going to have a party right here at my house, and we're giving away 2 tours, 2 free tours. And anybody who signs up gets their name in the virtual bucket, and we'll pull it out, and we're going to award 2 tours on Monday. Tomorrow, you will receive an email from our Monday night travel crew. And on that email, there'll be a little form, and it's simple to fill it out, and then you'll get your name in the bucket if you would like to play. Also remember, during our festival, until February 5th, we're offering $100 off per seat. We don't need to discount the seats because we're almost sold out and we're going to be sold out, but we just wanted to make the festival extra fun. If you want to book a seat, use the promo code there, and that'll be in the email you get tomorrow. We've got 33,000 seats roughly available for this year, and 30,000 of them are already sold. So we're 90% sold out, but that still means 3,000 seats open on about 1,200 different departures. So you got a couple of seats on average open still for most of the departures through the year. Hey, I want to remind you, we've got our Keep on Traveling t-shirts, and I was wondering, why am I so energized and enthusiastic tonight? Part of it might be I'm wearing my Keep on Traveling t-shirt. And they normally cost $20, but we just love for people to have an extended family in their travels. And we're selling them for half price just for the festival. So if you need a Keep on Traveling t-shirt, that's a fun way to declare that Europe is our playground and we are going to have a great time. I want to remind you, by the way, that last January, we did our tour festival in 20 days instead of 7 days. And that means we have more than double the time dedicated to each country. And I want to remind you that all of these events are recorded. They're available for free on our website. And I've been rushing through Spain because I want to get to Portugal, but we have a whole hour with Federico taped on January 12th last year, and that's available on our website. And we have a whole hour on Portugal. And as you can see here, we've got lots. We've got 20 hours of information about all these destinations, and it's a year old, but it's just the information is essentially right on. And when you go to our website at ricksteves.com, go into the tour section, when you go into a Spain or a Portugal tour, you'll see right there, you can click on it, and then you can enjoy that in-depth look at our tours. Also, I want to remind you that all the TV shows we've ever produced are available on our website for free. And if you're curious about what would we be doing on this or that tour, I've got a whole half-hour TV show dedicated to Basque Country, and it just happens to be almost exactly what the itinerary is. So if you wonder, tell me more about the Basque Country, I can say, well, watch my half-hour show on Basque Country. If you want more on Spain, we've got 8 shows on Spain, I believe, and there's lots of information there. Federico has helped me with several of these TV shows. Hey, next up, we're heading off to Portugal. And Federico, I want to thank you very much for being with us and remind everybody that you'll be back in half an hour and we'll have a chance to answer your questions. So, Fedi, don't go to sleep. I know it's 3 o'clock in Spain.
No, not yet. Gracias, amigos.
Ciao, Federico. Okay.
Ciao.
So I hope you enjoyed that look at Spain. And now I think we're gonna hurry along because I want to have time for questions, and we're going to be joined by my friend Christina in a moment. When we think about Portugal, this is our best 12 days, and we fly into Lisbon. We go to the Wild West town of Évora, and then we go up to Óbidos and Nazaré, and before we go to the sort of the Oxford or the Cambridge of Portugal, Coimbra, the historic university town. We go into the romantic Douro River Valley where they make the port wine. And we finish with one of my favorite cities in Europe, Porto, a very underrated city. And that is a pithy, earthy, edgy, lively, fun example of urban Portuguese culture. That's what we would do for 12 days in Portugal. And I don't know what I would do without my friend and fellow tour guide, Christina Duarte. We've been working together for a long, long time. And when I go to Lisbon, she's the person I call to help me update my guidebooks. And if I was going to Portugal, I would love to have a guide like Christina showing me around. Christina, welcome.
Hello. Boa noite. Well, boa noite. How are you doing, Rick?
I'm doing good. But the question is, how are you doing? I know you're 1 hour different than Spain, but it's still like 3 o'clock in the morning for you or something.
Almost 3 o'clock in the morning, yes. But it was a delight to hear you and Federico. So I was following and very interesting and learning also a lot about our neighbors.
Nice. Well, there was a time, Christina, and you remember it, when we did longer tours and we had a 22-day tour that was Spain and Portugal together. But we that those are hard to sell. Americans have the shortest vacations in the rich world. So if a tour is not selling well, we make it shorter and then it sells better. So we have to go with that. And instead of 22 days in Spain and Portugal, now we have, 12 days in Portugal and 14 days in Spain. And we're able to actually spend more time with more focus. And I love it. You get the Federicos, the Spaniards doing the Spain tour, and you get the Christinas and the Portuguese tours, guides doing the Portugal tour. How does that work?
And it was a wonderful decision of making 2 separate tours.
How long have you been guiding with us, Christina?
I started as a local guide when Portugal and Spain were part of the same tour. But in 2010, when the Portugal tour launched, so I became a tour guide.
Nice. Well, we've had you then for
more than 14 years.
14 years. And just like Federico, I was thinking, you guys never lose your enthusiasm. And
good.
I think part of it might be that you enjoy the kind of people that sign up on a Rick Steves tour.
I love the kind of people that would sign up in the Rick Steves tours because it gives me the opportunity of being myself and being genuine. And people are seeking to learn about not only about the monuments, but about the culture, how we think, how we behave, and it's lovely to discuss about all these things with different perspectives. It is a learning process for both ways, and at the end we discovered that we are so universally equal because we have the same fears, we have the same wonders, we have the same expectations, and it is just a learning process.
And, if I think of all my friends here in Seattle, I don't think very many people have have a friend in Portugal. It's a beautiful thing to go to Portugal and have a friend in Portugal.
It
And then all of a
is.
sudden it humanizes this beautiful nation. There are so many countries and cultures that we can humanize. And that's one of the intangible, beautiful things about taking a group, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's this interaction and sharing. As I was saying, is this sharing of of experiences. And
Yeah.
the beauty of it is we start a tour and we are just a tour guide and with their tour members. And that after 12 days, we actually know each other
Yeah.
and we bond.
Bond, that's the word. And I just
Yeah.
love the way there's some, it clicks after 2 or 3 days.
Yes.
And then you realize, yes, this is now, it's like you broke through the surf and now you're just cruising across
Yes.
the beautiful cultural sea. And it happens on our groups because we have a philosophy of family on our buses.
Yes.
And I like to joke, and I'm not really joking, I guess I'm true about this. We shape the clientele by how we advertise our tours. And we don't cater to people's certain needs that would shape the tour one way or another way. We want people to roll up their sleeves and get their fingers dirty in the local culture. We want them to have to become a cultural chameleon, to change and become a temporary Portuguese person. And that's something you can expertly help them do. So thank you for getting up in the middle of the night, Christina. And we're going to go traveling through your country now. And of course, we want to start in Lisbon. Lisbon is, there's a lot of hard history, a lot of beautiful history, a lot of change in Lisbon. It was once one of the most powerful cities in Europe. It was a springboard for world exploration. And then in 1755, what happened?
The earthquake that just hit Lisbon the 1st November 1755. It was earthquake, it was tidal, tsunami, it was fires, it was a catastrophe that changed completely the downtown area of the city.
So the downtown was just flattened, and it was, you can imagine this, it was Sunday morning, people were in church. There was an earthquake that was so hard, it shook the candles in London, but the epicenter was essentially Lisbon. And the buildings didn't have rebar in them, so they would be likely to crumble. And then there was a terrible fire because there's so many candles on in the church. And there was a huge tsunami, a wave that swept through, and the city was devastated. And they had this powerful, get it done military leader, Marquês de Pombal. I think this is that a statue of Pombal there or no?
No, the statue is from the king, but underneath of the statue there is a medallion, and on the medallion there is the portrait of Marquis of Pombal.
And he rebuilt the city, and you can see it's done in a kind of an efficient military kind of way. It's done on a budget 250, 300 years ago. And it's a beautiful city to this day. Look at the beautiful inlay on the sidewalks there on the square. Look at the traffic freeness. I remember when these squares were just full of cars, and now they have fountains, they have birds, they have trees, they have locals, they have families. And you step into the church, and you can imagine what was destroyed in the earthquake and what was rebuilt and what was still standing. And there's a monastery that's still a memorial to that disaster in 1755. And today, the pedestrian center of town is a delight to explore. And guides like, this is Rafael, right?
Yes.
We've got so many great Portuguese guides that take our groups around. We enjoy the trolleys, and we have a chance to connect with the neighborhoods. Ever since I was a teenager going to Lisbon, I've been charmed by the Alfama. Can you tell us about this colorful neighborhood, please?
This is one of the oldest districts of Lisbon. It dates back from the 8th century, so from the Moorish time, and it still keeps its charm with the narrow, labyrinthic, very narrow streets. So it's kind of a maze inside, but it's charming because of that.
Yeah,
it's unique. We can say that it's kind of a unique.
The streets are so narrow and windy that there's no cars, and you have the laundry out and all of this classic old world ambiance. And you've got these Fado bars. And Fado is a typically Portuguese tradition. It's sort of the to me, it's the fisherwoman widow blues. There's something soulful about the Fado. What is Fado to you and to the Portuguese people?
I think that this Fado is the soul of the Portuguese people. It's so much more than just a singing or a song or a chant. I would say that is feelings put into music. Does it make sense? It's because it's so it's so powerful on the words that they say. Not necessarily, many times they are not necessarily said, but is either they are talking about joy or sadness, but this is what it expresses, and without microphone, so it becomes even more, intense.
Christina,
Intense.
so many times after a long day of researching my book, I've just sat in a restaurant and they've got a couple of guitars and they've got a amateur, Fado singer. I've had my sardines and now I'm into my port wine. And I'm looking into the face of this woman and she's just, I can't understand the lyrics, but I can understand the lyrics. It's the interesting thing, and I'm so there. And this is something that we can do with our groups.
Yes.
We learn this culture, we experience this culture. Then we go outside of the center of town to Belém, and we go to my favorite cloister in all of Europe at the Hieronymus Monastery there. And across the street is the Belém Tower. And I'm so enchanted by this because this is the last building that Magellan and Vasco da Gama saw when they sailed out of the port, and the first building they saw when they came back with all their stories to tell and all of their conquistador loot and plunder. And it's just an amazing historic building, 500 years old. And there we have the monument to Henry the Navigator and all those guys that broadened Portugal's horizon. And it's a very, very interesting part of your whole travel experience in Portugal. When we leave Lisbon and we go north for a couple of hours, we get to some charming small towns. Óbidos is a beautiful little walled town with whitewashed buildings and a lot of charm. Next to that is a town called Nazaré. And Nazaré is fishing. I remember when I was a kid, the beach was just littered with fishing boats, colorful fishing boats, but they dug a new harbor. And today it's a playground for Portuguese people, and we can go there and enjoy that also. I just love Nazaré, and still the fishermen are there mending their nets, and the women are drying the fish as the men are coming in with boatloads of fish. And the tourists are able to just enjoy the fresh seafood on their dinner plate, aren't they? Tell us a little about the experience, the people, the culture that we find in Nazaré.
I think that, looking at this picture especially, it tells us a lot of, sacrifice and I don't know, the experience of life. You see the wrinkled face of this woman, and we know that this is what she has within her, which is this hard labor or hard work. The sea is there. The sea is present. The sea, it takes and gives. And this woman tells us about that. It's persons that they live in wintertime because of mostly stop because the sea is too rough over there to get out for fishing. You probably heard about the waves in Nazaré, and they are pretty high. So they basically make their living through the time from April to November, and a little bit of tourism helps a lot, and more tourism makes part of it. So
it's fishing and tourism, and
yes,
a hard heritage, beautiful seafood, and famous waves. I mean, if you go on YouTube and just Google Nazaré and surfing, you'll find some of the biggest waves in the world. From Nazaré, we drop by Batalha, which is a battle built as a celebration of a battle against Spain, I believe, and a beautiful abbey. We go to Fatima, and Fatima during World War I. There was visions of the Virgin Mary coming out of the clouds, and every month on the same day, these villagers saw this vision from heaven, and it's a remarkable apparition, I think it's called. And today, from all over Christendom, devout Catholics come here and worship in Fatima, especially on a certain, what day of the month is the
13.
The 13th.
13 from May to October, which are the visions or the apparitions of Our Lady in Fatima from the 13th of May to the 13th of October, every month of the month.
It's quite a special place, and I think it's important to go there with a respect. A lot of people who wouldn't be Roman Catholic wouldn't take a lot of this very seriously, but people who do have the Roman Catholic faith come there, and it's a very important part of their journey, and it's a beautiful thing to understand and to respect. And we get to drop by there and visit it and check that out before heading up to Coimbra. Now, I called Coimbra the Oxford of Portugal because the historic university is there. In fact, that's it, capping the hill there. What a beautiful town. Tell us about the importance of let's see if I have it. Yeah, right there, the university in Coimbra.
Well, the university is one of the oldest universities in the world. And it's settled on the top of the hill, as we saw, that what was a former royal palace, but it became a university back on the 1500s. It was settled over there, and it was the most and main university of the country, so it had all the favors also of the kings. So inside of the university we have probably the top three most beautiful libraries in the world, which is in this university. About the university itself, it is about 20,000 students. So you might understand that in a city with the 150,000, it makes a huge difference on the vibrance and the life of the city. So I would always say that the city lives on the shade of the university, because they are always the students all over.
I love the energy the students bring to it. Yeah. And they have their graduation, it seems, spread out throughout the year. So there's always some kind of festivals going on. And one part of Coimbra, which I find very interesting, is they have troubadours that are Fado singers, but they're male Fado singers. In Lisbon, they're all female singers. And here you have, I believe, the only male Fado singers. And it is just beautiful music. And I believe that we have a private concert for our groups with one of these groups while we're there, and we celebrate the heritage and tradition of that beautiful town. And then we go to the Douro Valley, and it's sort of kind of like the Rhine River Valley, but without castles. It wasn't on a border. There's not a lot of fortifications. What you have is vineyards and beautiful little towns and quinta. A quinta is a farm here, isn't it?
Yes, in the state, a farm in the state.
And we have friends that are that are vintners, and they grow their grapes and they make their port wine. Tell us about our visit to the quinta in port wine country while I sip my port.
Well, I can zip also mine. Well, then I brought it from
Quinta.
Saúde.
Tell us about port.
So we go to a quinta, and we walk on the vineyards, and then we go and we lunch with the family. So we have a wonderful relationship with the family, and they tell us about all the process of the port wine. So we can see the whole process from the grape itself to the bottling, and of course the most important of it, to drink it. We learn about the different port wines, because they are many. They are white, they are red, and then on the reds they are the tawnies, they are the rubies, and then they are the different ages. So it's a world of wines that we learn about the port wine. At the end, we might think, well, in all these wines, which is the best? I will say there is no bad one, which is different from the best one, is that there is no bad one. There is the one that goes with your mood of the day. So there are some fresh ones, so drier, and more they are doing also new cocktails right now. So they are modernizing also the port wine.
I don't want a port cocktail. I'm a purist. I want a good.
Yes.
Hey, Christina, is that you hard at work on the left there with that happy group of travelers?
Yes, after the visit and after the port wine tasting.
It looks like you're having a great time. And we filmed there. It was so much fun. This is when I was there with our TV crew. And I think you know the same place. And
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that we have friends that are salt to the earth farmers and people that are artisans and they're so committed to this culture. And I think I want to, right now, just pour myself a little more of this, this beautiful port. And you mentioned white and red. I've
Yes.
got, this is a tawny, and this is a, do you know this bottle?
Oh yes, Taylor's. Yes, Taylor's is a wine cellar that actually we visit together
In Porto.
when we
We're
were
gonna go there in a
filming.
second.
Yes.
And I'm gonna, wait a minute. I've got a lid on there. I gotta pull the lid off. Come on. Excuse me there.
How many of those
I'm gonna-
glasses you already had?
There you go. This is one of the beautiful things to be gaining an appreciation of something,
Yes.
a high point. Now,
You have
now
a red and I have a white.
I was going
You
to say
see?
there's a different color here. So what's
Yes.
going on? This is a fortified wine, right?
All of them, all port wines are fortified wines. And the only thing is that the red, you have two main families. You have the tawny and you have the ruby. Ruby, as the word says, you always look for very red and very well the taste of berries, and because it's very winey. The other one has the tawny has wood, so we aged in wood barrels, so automatically it becomes more brownish color. For the
Nice.
whites, they can be whiter, but this is a 20-year-old, so they as they age, they get darker. And
That's a 20-year-old white.
yes, I
Oh.
like to treat myself.
Well, here, Sauda, right? Sauda?
Saúde, Gigi.
For your
Saúde.
health, Sauda. Very nice. I'll never forget the experiences we had enjoying that, because I don't lead the tours anymore. I sign up for the tours, and every chance I get, I take one of the Rick Steves tours. I've heard they're pretty good. And I sign up with a pseudonym, so nobody knows I'm on the tour until I show up at the opening talk. Fatima, one of your colleagues, was my guide in Portugal.
Uh-huh.
And I just love it. I just love being with the guides because I learn so much. And I love being with the people because we attract a wonderful kind of traveler, and they're just fun to share a bus with. Well, the Douro River flows all the way into Porto. And Porto is the industrial second city after Lisbon. And all over Europe, I'm really into what I call the second cities. If you go to Edinburgh, you got to go to Glasgow. If you go to Dublin, you got to go to Belfast. If you go to Munich, you got to go to Hamburg. If you go to Paris, you got to go to Marseille. If you go to Seattle, you got to go to Tacoma. If you go to Lisbon, you got to go to Porto. And
Porto.
Here we have the traditional boats that take the casks of wine down the river from the quintas to the lodges. And these are moored on the other side of the river where you have all the lodges that you can go visit. And this is just a shot of the intense urban sort of scene architecturally and culturally in this town. Just to walk up the streets in Porto is an amazing experience, and to have a local guide to explain to you, why do they have these beautiful blue tiles on the outside of that church, and let's step into the train station and enjoy even more blue tiles, and what's the scene telling us? And there is so much to learn about it. And then we cross the river and we visit a lodge, and we get these elegant people that love their work, who love showing it off, and that's where we gain an appreciation of that. And then driving through the countryside, we find a cork grove, and I can almost cringe thinking how painful it must be if I was a tree to have my skin peeled off like that, skinned alive. But they peel the cork bark off, and from that, and here's our group. We have a friendly family that has a cork farm, and they actually designed this vehicle to accommodate our group so we could go in and see their orchard. Tell us about that experience, please, Christina.
When we started the tour of Portugal in 2010, I went to this farm and to this family, and we were trying to figure out how to put our group from 25 to 28 people inside of and how to go through the montado, that is the cork tree forest. And it was very difficult. But one day they called me and said, Christina, well, it is a surprise, but the problem was solved. And so, well, okay, I was relieved. And I just arrived and I see this trolley pulled by a tractor, and it is the lower part of an army vehicle. So you see, it is the part because of the suspension. So they transformed the lower part of an army vehicle, and of course that they adapted the upper part to our group. So we have exactly, well, the 28 seats, and it's covered, and it is, even if it is raining or if it is windy or it is sunny, we have the shade and we have the curtains if necessary. It's just a lovely way of going through the montado, the cork forest.
Yeah, I believe I took this photograph when I was with my tour with Fatima, and the family was so proud of this vehicle because of that need, because they were so proud of their heritage as a family. And we went through the experience there, and then this was I got to share this with you. This is I'm sort of past souvenirs now. I don't bring home very many souvenirs, but this is a beautiful thing. Do you recognize this?
Yes. And it's the cork, the bottle corks.
Look at that. And this is the greatest. That's just a piece of cork, the bark of the tree. And they just punch out these corks, and there you have a Portuguese cork. We were just celebrating Christmas with my wonderful daughter and her beautiful little grandson. And Atlas, their grandson, just found this to be the most enjoyable of all the toys. It's not even a toy, but this really was a hit for him. And I think they're missing a marketing opportunity here by making these available to little kids to kind of play with their.
And it is sustainable. And it is sustainable.
That is for sure.
And cork is a complete 100% sustainable material. So
let me raise a glass to cork.
All right, let's do it again.
You do that? Okay.
From now on, I will be no longer responsible for my answers, all right?
Okay, there you go. I'll give you that. Very nice, Christina.
Yes.
Okay, let's travel on here. And all right. I just love the musical culture, the cuisine culture, the intimate people culture, the cod culture. In America, we say "In God we trust." In Portugal, I think you can say "In cod we trust."
365 ways of cooking cod. So yes, in cod we trust, definitely.
It just occurred to me, this is Paul Johansson. He's one of our friends from Oslo. And I love Paul. He's our guide up in Scandinavia. And you and Paul, I don't know where I got this photograph. Maybe you sent it to me or Paul sent it to me. But Paul is, that's where the cod comes from, is Norway. And it's the staple food in Portugal. And this is sort of a reunion of a Norwegian and a Portuguese, each holding a piece of dried and salted cod that's about as soft as a baseball bat. You could hit a home run. You could hit a home run with a cod.
That's why the reason we made this photo, because it's the attachment of the Portuguese being probably the most important clients from Norway and Iceland, and so.
See, before there was refrigerators, they had the salted cod, and you had the hungry fisher, you had the hungry sailors, and you were very important for each other's economy.
Yeah, that's why they are salted, because it was before the refrigeration.
That's right. Well, there's more to eat than cod in Portugal, that's for sure. And I just love to go into one of these beautiful little wine bars, basically, and have a meat table like that, or just to go into the restaurant and appreciate, what is this, the cataplana?
Cataplana. Cataplana is the name of the pan, because you see it here is the pan that is open, but it actually closes, and it's cooked on the steam of a closed pan, and we put together the vegetables
the
and
clam. The
Yes.
clam. Yeah, right. So that's a cataplana is a clam. I didn't realize that.
No,
And
no,
it's,
no. It's the pan. The pan.
oh, the pan. I'm sorry, the pan.
Yes.
Ah, okay. So it has a lid on it then.
Yes. Yes. And that's why when you put the vegetables like the potatoes, the onions, and all the vegetables together, also the fish, everything raw, you close it in very low fire, in very low temperature, and it boils as the fish is going to release his, the humidity and the flavors. It gives all the flavors to the vegetables also. That's why it's actually very healthy because you don't have any addiction of any fat or sugar. It's everything that is the natural foods of the vegetables and the fish.
Cataplana. It's sort of the Portuguese bouillabaisse, I would say. Hey, Christina, I'm going to be, I haven't told you yet, but I'm going to be in Portugal this spring working on the new book. And I'm hoping,
All right.
I'm hoping you're between tours so you can help me because we can have a cataplana together.
Yes.
We can have some
That's a
beautiful
deal.
chicken. We can have some beautiful chicken or, there's so much great food to enjoy. But you know what my favorite dessert is.
Yeah, the custard, pastel de nata or
Oh,
pastel de Belém, because we call it the both ways. In Lisbon, we say pastel de Belém because the first, originally the recipe comes from Belém district, from the monks of the monastery of Jerónimos that you show the beautiful cloister, and it is a custard.
What I've got to say is when I look at this is a shop in near in the Baixa.
Bairro Alto?
Bairro Alto, yeah, Bairro Alto. And it's famous because of its fast turnover. And you go in here, it only sells the pastel de nata and it just turns them over all the time. They're always coming hot out of the oven. And I've had a lot of these beautiful custard pies that are cold and kind of old and they're just not special. But when you get them hot out of the oven, it's one of the most beautiful things you can eat anywhere in Europe.
Yes.
Hey, these are just a few of our wonderful guides. Just looking at our guides, it makes me happy. I'm so thankful for your colleagues in Portugal. We have a wonderful tour program, and if the satisfaction of the groups that trust you, invest in us for their Portuguese vacation is in the indication, you guys do a wonderful job of that. Hey, this is the route that we were talking about, and this is what we think is the best 12 days of Portugal. If you had more time and you wanted to add on to your vacation, in a couple of hours, you could get from Lisbon down to the south coast. And the south coast is where you'd hang out on the beach and just have one of those kind of amazing beach vacations to complement all of the beautiful sightseeing and cultural experiences you'd enjoy on the Heart of Portugal in 12 Days Rick Steves bus tour. I want to remind you that you can enjoy as many 1 hour looks at every country in Europe that we cover on our tours if you go into our archives on our website and find these lectures, these classes. I've right now in the last hour spent a half an hour with Christina in Portugal and a half hour with Federico in Spain. A year ago, we were with Christina and Federico and we did an hour on each country. Double the information, it's there. And if you're planning a trip to Portugal, whether you're going on your own, whether you're going with another tour company, or whether you're going on one of our tours, this is really important information for you. Once again, we've got seats open on our Best of Barcelona and Madrid tour, on our Basque tour, on our Andalusia tour, the Best of Spain, My Way Spain, and the Best of Portugal. Hey, Christina, I am just so thankful that you have been up in the middle of the night to join us. And I want to thank you for being our travel partner. Sauda again.
So
you
just getting me drunk.
You can just climb upstairs and crawl into your bed, so it's okay. Let's get Federico back here and Ben and have some questions. Federico, hola.
Yes, my amigos, amigas. Rick,
Yes, Saúde.
Cristina goes white. I go rosé. Rosado.
Well, you've got Rioja. Rioja is a good word to know when you're having wine in Spain. Hey, you guys, and I do want to mention, we are having a lot of fun with our drinks.
Yes.
But you don't need to drink alcohol to have fun. You know, many people on tours don't have alcohol. They're part of the party. And we make sure there's plenty of non-alcoholic options. It's called social fun. And some people like to lubricate it with a little drink, and other people would rather keep it without alcohol. And we're all part of the party, right?
I also have water
and you're having a lot of fun. Hey, Ben, that was great with both of you.
Thank you.
You just endlessly inspire me. Thank you for being here. And Ben, I'd love to have a few questions from all of our travelers for Federico and for Christina.
Absolutely. The Q&A is singing both of your praises, Christina and Federico. So this was tricky to figure out what to ask, but there were a lot of questions regarding when to go to Spain and Portugal. So I'll start with that. Maybe Federico and then Christina, when would you suggest anyone visit your countries?
Well, one of the good things about Spain and Portugal is our good weather. So that is actually the reason why I can see, I mean, right now in the month of January and February, you see the sun is shining here. We don't really have what you call cold weather. So in my opinion, you know, spring and fall are the best seasons, in my opinion. But winter is still a very, very nice time of the year with no crowds in those museums, nice weather, not really cold temperatures. That is actually my opinion. What do you think, Christina?
I think I agree with you. It's I always say that the best time to go to somewhere is when you are ready to go. Because with climate changes, you cannot predict if it is going to be always good weather or bad weather. So whenever you are feeling ready to go, just go on and do your vacation. And the winter time, why not? Becoming more and more a possibility for the crowded seasons of spring and fall.
I would remind people it can be brutally hot in July and August. And if you can avoid that, I think it's a good idea. We have very few tours in the middle of the summer, but people do it and people are fine with it. And a lot of people live in Phoenix, Arizona, and they have the same heat there, you know, so life does not stop. And I've been there in the middle of summer many times and it's hot and I'm not very good in the heat, but it's still great travel. But if you can go in the spring or the fall, and the point that Federico is making, early spring and late fall, I mean, it's beautiful. And I love to be in Spain and Portugal when it's blue and crispy and cold. I mean, cold meaning in the 50s and 60s degrees. You can do that, and it's a beautiful thing. So I'd go into the cooler times, and you're still going to get blue skies. Next question, Ben.
Tammy and others, not surprisingly, were inspired to visit both Spain and Portugal, and they're curious how they should incorporate both countries. And this is actually a very common question, because the ground transportation between Spain and Portugal is a bit limited. How would you recommend combining Spain and Portugal together into a trip?
I would say by flight, by plane, because although the system, the train system in Spain is very good, well, in Portugal, between Lisbon and Porto, so the line Lisbon-Porto is also very good, but in between the two countries, we're still working on it. Hopefully, it's going to launch, and in two or 3 years, we will having Madrid-Lisbon for less than 2 hours. But so far, it's still better to make it by plane. It's a flight of 1 hour, Lisbon to Madrid, and it really helps. If it is to connect the two cities, if it is to go on through Seville and coming to Portugal through the south of Portugal, so the best is to rent a car. Or there is some buses also, an alternative to a train, to use a city bus.
I would really say the efficient thing is there's airplanes every hour for $100. Yes. It takes 1 hour, Madrid to Lisbon, you know. And I love this idea that the fast train is coming, because there was a time when people would take would fly from Madrid to Barcelona, but now with the fast train, you just take the train. It's 2 or 3 hours. And Europe has this big plan going from Paris, and it's becoming a big web, and everything is going to be connected by 200-mile-an-hour trains. And 2 hours from Lisbon to Madrid, sign me up, you know, that's great.
Excellent tips. Thank you very much. Helen noted that we saw excellent examples of traditional music and dance in Spain and Portugal. She would like to know, and this is a personal question, Federico, perhaps you could tell us first, and then Christina, have either of you practiced or learned from a flamenco, fado, or other traditional music and dance in your country?
We don't dare Actually, no.
That's a
I
great
just
answer.
try. I just try, you see, but it's actually it's better to enjoy rather than try to that. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. I mean, it's just wonderful. But you really have to be a good singer or a good dancer to go on that stage and to seduce people. You see, that is actually another story.
Having said that, we have 150 guides, and Christina, would you agree the most beautiful singer of all of our guides is this man
Oh,
right
yes, yes,
Federico.
yes,
He performs on the bus,
yes,
and he's like a Spanish dream come true. If you wanted
yes,
your own private Spanish troubadour,
yes.
and it's operatic, and I just love. Sometimes it can be cringy when other people try to do opera, but Federico, you're my man.
Yeah, he has a beautiful voice. He's a beautiful voice.
And you know how to snap your fingers as well, don't you, Federico? Is that true?
Okay. He had to put his.
Fantastic.
I think you had to be muted, or you would break the speakers.
And I love the way the E ends.
Plus.
Oh, yeah.
Duenda.
And Christina, how about you?
No, well, the Fado, I think that everybody sings a little bit of Fado, not necessarily well, and it can be a little bit, well, bad for the others that are listening. So, no, I sing Fado, I mean, among friends, but nothing that it is, I studied for, and not necessarily well.
Well, you're among friends tonight, Christina.
Yeah, no.
Another drink.
Okay. One more practical question from Barbara. Is it worthwhile to rent a car in Spain and Portugal?
Let me just answer the quick thing. If you're going from city to city, it's so efficient and cheap by AVE train, you wouldn't want to drive. If you're going to be exploring the countryside, that's where the buses and trains will be more frustrating. And you can rent a car for a few days from a city. But the public transportation is so good. And most people, they want to go Barcelona, Madrid, Granada, Sevilla, Lisbon, Santiago de Compostela. If you go to those places right there, I can just think it is fast train and quick flights, and you don't want a car in any of those places. But if you're exploring the countryside, you want a car. But frankly, most people don't explore the countryside as much in Spain and Portugal. The towns are not overwhelming, and they're well served by train. You can rent a car anywhere, but it's train.
Yeah, the train.
Yeah,
If you come to Spain, just take the train. It's because it's actually it's Madrid. Madrid is the epicenter of that spider net, and from here you go everywhere taking the high-speed train, which is fantastic, my friends. The most modern fleet of high-speed trains in Europe are in Spain, and it's so easy and so feasible and so practical and so inexpensive to go to all those places that we hardly fly anymore.
You know, I'm going to go in Portugal, what I'm going to be working, I hope, with Christina, and I'll go Lisbon, Coimbra, Porto by train, because that's easy. And then from Coimbra, I'm going to take taxis or Ubers for 45 minutes or an hour to different towns without being burdened by a rental car. And I've done that. Like, I'm going to land in Lisbon, and I'll probably take a taxi from the airport right to Obidos. And it's no more than what I pay to take the taxi from my home in Seattle to the airport. You know, it's a 45-minute ride. So you've got that option. But of course, you could also rent a car and have the flexibility of that. So it depends on your itinerary.
Yes.
My next question is for Christina specifically, and it comes from Toby. He is curious about all the buzz surrounding Americans, and maybe others as well, moving to Portugal. Do you know why this is, why Portugal seems to be such a popular place for American expats, and how the Portuguese people feel about it?
Well, it was a couple of years ago, especially after our recession, economical recession. It was a good deal of investment to invest in Portugal, because you would find real estate in a very good price. And of course, well, being a country that is easygoing, well, most of the people speak English. I would say that most everybody that is more than 50 years old speak English. So it is an easy country and safe also. We are very easygoing, laid back, well saved and friendly. So we had everything that people actually were searching for, coming to retired and to invest in Portugal.
For the cost of living, that's probably half.
And the cost of living, of course. But this is the down. This was years ago, because right now it's the other side of the same of the coin, which is so much search and so much real estate speculation make that right now Lisbon, for instance, is among the 5 more expensive cities on real estate in Europe. So look it out at how much is the the square meter. I would say square meter because in Portugal not square foot, but and it is really expensive. So we have, as a local, I must tell you that we have a little bit of a mixed feelings about this, because it just raised all the prices. Oh yeah. We don't, in the center of the cities, especially Lisbon, Porto, Coimbra, they are becoming desertified with the locals because we can no longer rent or buy anything in the center. So we are dislocating ourselves for about 45 minutes to 1 hour out of the center. So it has an impact. It has an impact in the cities.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, thank you, Christina. I will ask just one more question for each of you from Liz. Liz wrote to us that you both live in beautiful, beautiful cities, both national capitals. I guess Rick and you and I live close to a beautiful city. Federico and then Christina, can you tell us what you most love, perhaps the most magical aspect of your city?
Wow. Something that I really enjoy to say. Many of my friends, actually some of those Ricky Steve's guides who are American guys who are already residents in Spain, they just came here a few years ago and they were searching for the right city or the right town to settle down. And finally, most of them, they said, we go to Madrid, we stay in Madrid. Spain is a very friendly country, but Madrid is especially friendly and very cosmopolitan, and I'm quite happy about that. I have to say that this is a big city in European terms, and it's really, really, really friendly. I'm quite happy about that. Then we could talk about many interesting sites in the city and historical and cultural heritage. That's another story. But I have to say that the city is special, and people feel really welcome here. Yeah.
And I know that personally because a couple of months ago, literally, my girlfriend Shelley wanted a 1-week vacation with her daughter, Katie. And I said, you should go to Madrid and stay there for a whole week with a side trip to Toledo. And Federico very generously palled around with them and showed them around. And Federico, thank you so much for that. And they were a little skeptical at first because they had a long list of things they wanted to see. And I said, no, just stay put in Madrid and get to know that great city. And Federico, I think it was a tremendous success. They had a beautiful, beautiful time with no stress.
No stress at all.
Nice. Christina, what about you in Lisbon?
Lisbon, besides, being the the biggest city in Portugal, and of course more cosmopolitan, and I'm not saying that the other ones, they are not, but this is definitely the bigger, with the biggest one, with the most variety of museums, of cultural shows, of cultural activities. But there is something in Lisbon that is, overwhelming for me. It's the light. And the light, the association of the light and the river, it's something unique. You go to one of those viewpoints, and in the early mornings or in the end of the afternoons, and you see the light, just to reflect on the river, because the river Tagus is the mouth of the river here in Lisbon, and it is an estuary, so it's huge, and it's like, I just feel that I cannot breathe no longer, this is why. It's wow. Like, every time that I look to this, I say, this is why.
Thank you, Christina. And I think it's a nice way to finish off our celebration of Spain and Portugal, because you are both the light, and you are the kind of guides that I'm so proud of and so thankful for, because I'm a little bit emotional, but you shine a light on your culture, and it comes directly from your hearts. So thank you very much, you guys. You're great. And I hope to see you in your beautiful countries soon. And thank everybody else for joining us.
Thank
Happy
you.
travels.
Obrigada. Thank you.
Buenas
Obrigada.
noches. Sleep good.
Boa noite. Obrigada.
Good night, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow for France.
Adiós, amigos. Hasta la vista.
Adeus. Boa noite.
Great to see you guys. Good job.
Good night, Christina. Good night,
Obrigada.
Federico.
Obrigada. Boa noite.
Rich and Lisa also. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Gracias.
Night,
Obrigada,
everyone.
Ben. Foi fantástico.